Picture this. While social media in China is exploding with screenshots of government subsidies and sold-out notifications, do you know what's happening just a few thousand miles south? If the Chinese market is currently a feast where gluttony is a virtue, the Southeast Asian market is experiencing what I like to call high-altitude bungee jumping without the cord. Welcome to the show. Let's look at the halfway mark of 2025. If you think the global consumer electronics market is boring, you're not paying attention. It's more dramatic than a season finale of Game of Thrones. On one side of the border, we have drums beating and fireworks popping. The Chinese government is scattering cash from helicopters like a billionaire going through a midlife crisis. This trade-in policy is practically a stimulus package on steroids. The result? A jaw-dropping 26.2% explosion in sales for the first 2 months of 2025. But on the other side, our brothers in Southeast Asia are watching their smartphone market perform a majestic swan dive into an empty pool. The charts are all green, and in the stock market, green usually means good, but here it means envy, or perhaps nausea as the numbers tumble. Same planet, same electronic addiction, two completely different realities. So what is going on? Let's dissect this $100 billion miracle first. That 26.2% growth didn't pop out of a stone like the Monkey King. It was bought, paid for. The state isn't just nudging you to buy, they're practically shoving wads of cash into your pocket. It's the rural revitalization strategy, but the Pro Max Ultra Luxury Edition. Do the math. You want that shiny flagship phone? Between the state subsidy, the manufacturer discount, and the trade-in value of your old brick, they're stacking discounts like it's a video game combo. It feels like walking into a street food stall to buy a plain crepe, and the chef grabs your hand and says, "Brother, I like your face. Here's 3 extra eggs, double bacon, and a bottle of vintage cola. That'll be 50 cents. Are you confused? Of course you are. But then you look at that ancient phone in your drawer, the one that lags so hard it runs like a PowerPoint presentation from 1998, and then you look at the price of the new flagship. There is a little voice screaming in your head, "Buy it, just buy it. Treat yourself. You can't let the country down." This is precision engineering of consumer behavior. The government makes it rain, corporations play along, and the consumers think they've won the lottery. If this didn't result in explosive growth, I'd say the laws of economics were broken. But let's cut through the hype. The core driver here is the destruction of the decision threshold. We consumers are funny creatures. We have a psychological red line for prices. Above that line, we enter wait-and-see mode. We tell ourselves, this old phone can survive another 3 years. But the state subsidy acted like a dragon-slaying saber, slicing that red line into confetti. Suddenly, a 4,000 yuan hesitation becomes a 2,500 yuan shut up and take my money moment. And the manufacturers? Oh, they are cunning. They take your 8-hand iPhone 6, which is basically an archaeological artifact at this point, and offer you a sentimental trade-in value. It's not finance, it's a psychological massage. The result? A collective hallucination where not buying feels like losing money. While some armchair economists are still debating theories, the state just slapped the market in the face with cold hard data. Week 1 of the policy, 10 million units sold, a record since 2020. AI phones up 102%. Even the mid-range market is flying off the shelves. But while we are popping champagne, the Southeast Asian market is weeping in the corner. Q1 shipments, 28.2 million, down 3%. The growth streak is dead. Why is the same rain a blessing for us and a flood for them? 4 words: shaky foundations. First, wallets are shrinking. Ask a guy in Vietnam. His currency is tanking against the dollar faster than a lead balloon. Inflation is climbing. In Thailand, GDP growth is as exciting as watching paint dry. When you look at a new phone in Indonesia costing millions of rupiahs, and then you look at your empty dinner table, you realize that scrolling through TikTok a split second faster isn't worth starving for. When the economic wind blows cold, smartphones are the first luxury to be thrown overboard. Secondly, the Southeast Asian market has a fatal flaw. It's addicted to the cheap stuff. Over 70% of shipments are low-end budget phones. This model works fine when the sun is shining, but when consumption withers, the people cut the upgrade purchases first. The market there is a Jenga tower built on sand. One gust of wind, and the whole thing collapses. Transition is down 20%, Oppo down 16%. Even Apple is quietly cutting orders. In a consumption downgrade, the premium status is the first thing to get downgraded. It's also the hangover from the pandemic party. Demand was overdrafted. Everyone who needed a phone bought one 2 years ago. The market is saturated, and just when they thought they could catch a breath, the global economy punched them in the face. It's like finishing a marathon, gasping for air, and the referee fires the pistol and yells, "Surprise! 10 more kilometers!" Right now, the Southeast Asian market is vomiting on the side of the track. Supply chain leaks tell us that the inventory in local warehouses is piled higher than a mountain of betel nuts. I can hear the distributors crying from across the ocean. So what's the lesson in this tale of two cities? China's trade-in boom is a strategic move. Every penny of subsidy is calculated to pull up GDP, save enterprises, and keep the dopamine flowing. Southeast Asia is the cautionary tale. When a market relies too heavily on the low end, has no economic bedrock, and gets hit by inflation, a crash isn't a possibility, it's a guarantee. The revelation is simple. You want to make money lying down? Dream on. You either have a massive internal market backed by policy steroids like us, or you innovate enough to make your product as essential as oxygen. Otherwise, the iron fist of the market doesn't care about your feelings. Those who understand policy eat the meat. Those who understand the market drink the soup. The fools who just follow the herd, they don't even get to smell the aroma. The real test comes in late 2025, when the subsidy fever breaks. Can Chinese companies keep users with actual innovation, or are they just hooked on the life support of state cash? Can Southeast Asia find a new engine? That is the real life and death game. As for you and me, check your bank account. If you need a phone, ride the wave of subsidies. Buy early, enjoy early. To summarize this chaotic era, a poet, me, once wrote, "The subsidy thunder rolls and claps, clearing the shelves, closing the gaps. Old tech for new, a frantic exchange, while scalpers hunt on the open range. But down in the south, the warehouse groans under mountains of unsold, silent phones. One rises high, one falls to the mud, and only when the tide goes out do we see the blood." That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.